We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, but today doesn't feel that way. We are divided in more ways than one, and the media and the powers that be all have their own agenda. The people of this great nation no longer care about the truth, they only care about the side they are on. At Poor 360, I am trying to change that. We're bringing you the facts and history so we can all learn something and make our own decisions. Tune in every Tuesday to be a part of that journey. The following
is a journey into comics.
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 Network.
Production.
Went forward in time to view alternate futures, to see all the possible outcomes of the coming conflict.
How many did you see?
14,605,000.
How many did we win?
One.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Journey into Comics, the podcast that's dedicated to everything nerd. With your host, the Podfather himself, Nate Phillips, and introducing his new co-host, Tyler McLaughlin.
You should have gone for the head.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Journey into Comics. Journey into Comics 257. I am your host, Nate. Today, joining me, as always, the co-host. You guys know him and love him the most. Welcome back, Tyler.
Yee.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's been a crazy, roughly 48 hours in my life.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, first of all, I do want to mention that a part of that 48 hours, I actually got to see you in human person.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to discuss that in a second. But yesterday is kind of pressing because it changed the course of the network forever. Yesterday, which would be the 18th of October, or 18th of August, will forever be known as the blackout. No Dungeons with Dudes dropped yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, I had no power for the entirety of my day. The absolute entirety of my day. So, how did that happen, Nate? What happened? Let's get into it. So, I woke up to insane storm. I mean, it was fucking shaking the house. And I was like, man, it's storming hard. And Sarah was getting up to go to her lessons. So, I was talking to her, and she was really getting stressed out about the weather. And I was like, yeah, it's actually really, like, it's starting to kind of worry me how bad it is out there. It was violently windy. The rain was, I mean, just pouring so hard. Lightning strikes every few seconds. And she was just, like, in the hustle and bustle of getting ready. And she's like, I got to make some copies. So she walked to the back of the house to start making copies. And as she did, dude, I swear to God, it was like somebody walked into my breaker, took every single, or like took like the main switch for my house and was just flickering it like a light switch.
Yeah.
Okay? And there were weird noises happening, and it was like a fucking horror movie, dude, because the storm, it was like, I thought like maybe we were about to get hit by a tornado is what level it was kind of feeling. As this is happening, I started to walk towards the back of the house to like see if the girls were all right, and they claimed to have heard a loud crash. I didn't personally hear it, so I can't comment on if it was loud. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot of my tree in the backyard fucking falling onto the house, and didn't damage anything. Luckily, most of the branches that fell were already dead pieces, so they were light, and they, just kind of bounced off and whatnot. But we had no power. And we immediately called. And the weird thing is, we called for two reasons. One, to report a power outage. But two, right after the power went out, in our utility closet where our refrigerator and hot water heater are,
mm-hmm.
we smelled like burnt hair. And I was like, fuck, is there going to be a fire? Like, what the hell? Or is there a gas leak? Has something happened? Like, is this just coincidence?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of were freaked out anyways. So we called, NIPSCO came out. The dude was a gas technician, but he was also trained in electricity. He checked our whole house, which was nice. He's like, you guys don't even have a hint of a gas leak, so that's really good to know.
Mm-hmm.
But then he reported the situation that was behind our house, which was an entire line was down. A tree had just fucking taken it out.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, we just waited around all day pretty much in the dark. Well, I mean, it wasn't dark during the daytime. That kind of doesn't make any fucking sense. It was just weird because it was like occupying our time differently. We were conserving our phones because it's like you don't want to run out of juice if you don't know when you're going to get power back on.
Right.
Well, at some point, I had to run V home because today, Monday, is Ollie's day at school, so she's got to take him in the morning. And he was going home tomorrow night, or last night. God, I can't talk. Fuck. So anyways, I dropped her off, and Sarah stayed because I was like, listen, if the power comes back on, you're going to have to be in charge of making sure the breaker's good and making sure that if you smell smoke, get the fuck out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Get the cat out of the fucking house, you know. And she's like, all right, I can do that. So I drop V off. I immediately come back. And I come back to a dark house.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah's got a couple like flashlights and lantern type things on, candles going and whatnot. And, it's a nice environment or whatever. We were hanging out and whatnot, and Sarah's like, honestly, I'm really dog-ass tired. I'm going to go lay down. If there's nothing to do, I'm just going to fucking sleep. So she laid on the couch, and I stayed up and kind of like had it in my mind, because even though my area is safe, it was like, I don't want to leave our house with no power unattended to through the night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stay up until I know the power's on. So she slept, and I stayed up. And I got to see some cool shit because I got to watch NIPSCO come out and fix the lines and stuff. And these guys didn't realize I was sitting there listening to their conversation. I'm in the fucking dark,
Mm-hmm.
And it was hilarious. They were just the banter with the guys and whatnot. They worked very timely. I mean, they were there from like 10:30 till like just before midnight and got the entire thing relined and power to the houses, the 3 houses on our block, which was me and my 2 neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Were the only houses without power.
I meant to ask you guys on yesterday if anyone else around you was without power, or if it was just you guys.
Yeah, old lady Carol was without power. She's my 95-year-old next door neighbor, and she's hysterical. She walked over to me and she's like, "I heard you guys leave this morning." That was just Sarah leaving. We were still at the house. "I heard you guys leave this morning, and I went to ask if the other neighbor had power, and he said he didn't, and I looked, and I didn't see anything on in your house, so I guess you guys didn't." And then I told her, I was like, well, if it's going to be overnight before they get the power back on, I'll come over and let you know, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on, and I looked. I was going to walk over, and I looked, and she was in her front room reading, because I was like, well, she obviously knows the power's on.
Right.
Cool. But my neighbors on the other side were just, they're so, like, heritage all the way, man. They were literally just having a tailgating party in their fucking driveway, bumping the music in their Escalade, like... It was kind of annoying, honestly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just like, you do you, dude. You do you, But it was nice, power finally came back on, and I was like, oh, God, AC, I missed you, That was the most important thing. But in that all happening, we couldn't do a show yesterday. I couldn't rightly record a podcast with no power, no Wi-Fi, no way to even really contact you. I guess we could have done it through the phone, but I don't know if that really would have worked out so well. So, anyways, here we are, Tyler. We're now here on Monday, recording a late show.
On
It's
Monday.
mid-afternoon. On Monday, people are like, where's JIC? Buckles, no JIC today? Is everything okay? Yes, Buckles, everything is fine. As you've heard me retell the story, I was just in the blackout, my man.
Mm-hmm. Which you and I were talking about yesterday. It's really funny that you guys got hit. I mean, because obviously I'm south of you, and the cell that went through where you live also hit me, but it had almost completely broken up by the time it hit my house. It rained for probably, I don't know, hour and a half, but I mean, a little bit of lightning and thunder, but nothing that would, I love storms, so normally I'll get up and, like, I'm that Indiana dad that walks out on my deck to watch the tornado,
Hell yeah.
And I think, yeah, I got up to get a drink, and I just happened to stop, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's raining. okay, I'm gonna go back to my couch. You know, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like normally it's worthwhile for me to get up and go watch, but yesterday it was so mild. So.
Yeah, and I kind of want to watch the last footage of my cameras before the power went out yesterday, because I'm sure it's a show.
Oh, I bet.
Because it was fucking insane, dude. And then I walked out. I'm trying to feed the outdoor cats and whatnot, and I walk out, and there is a limb, a big ass limb that's on the top of my roof, standing vertically.
Jesus.
Okay, and I'm just like, great, cool. I can't even reach that right now. Also, as you know, my garage door's broke, so I can't really get into my garage to get my ladder to get it down, and it's also still going to fucking storm all over us. We aren't even done with what's happening. This is just a small break in the storm.
Right.
I'm feeding the cats. I'm like, I'm going to have to put their food in the fucking shed, so I go and do it. I walk back towards the garage. That fucking branch almost fell on my head, dude. The power line caught it, and then I'm like, well, now I have a whole other problem. We already don't have power. So I don't think I really need to worry that bad, but I don't want this to just stay on this power line. So I'm like, okay, rubber boots, rubber mat, grab the wooden-handled fucking broom, and I barely touched that stick and it fell off the line. I was like, okay, good, I didn't get electrocuted, I'm good.
Well, people take for granted just overhead lines. Like from house to house, it's considered low voltage, even though it's high voltage. It's anything less than 1,000 volts. But if you're driving down the road and there's an overhead line down, whether you can see it's live or not, you are a fucking idiot if you get out and get anywhere near it, because it's fucking insta-death.
Yeah, you're gonna get fucking zapped.
I'm an electrician, obviously. A quarter of an amp will kill you. 1/4 of an amp will kill you. Normally the amperage is what you have to worry about, not the voltage. But when you're by a line that's carrying fucking 20 or 30,000 volts, it's gonna smoke you.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
your hands and your fucking feet will explode off you.
I'm an electrician and I don't fuck with it. High voltage is not something that I want to dick with.
Well, it's always life or death. Always. There's not I'm going to work and there's no concern about if I'm going to come home or not. No. There's always a chance.
Right.
And that's a crazy thing, too. I was enamored watching these guys work in the back, because it was like, they were so calm about it. And I was like, man, they are really risking their lives right now. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
The wind could blow and this dude could get pushed into this fucking thing and get zapped out of nowhere. And fucking squirrel could land on it and complete the fucking connection to him. And, there's I don't know. I'm not good with electricity like that, but there's possibilities.
Right.
I saw the fucking demonstration when I was a kid.
Well, it's, I'm kind of glad that we're having this little public service announcement, because if the power does go out, the people that are there to fix it aren't just fuck dicking around. They are taking the time that they need to so they don't have an accident and then not have the ability to go home to their families. So give those people your respect.
They really do, man. And they were honestly professionals through and through. I talked to several crew people yesterday as they were in and out trying to get to the pole that was behind our house and whatnot, and figuring out the best way. And are they going to drive a truck in? Do they need to have the guy climb the pole or use a ladder or whatever? And you're right. It is very serious, but it's even more serious when the scale gets larger. So sure, we were one singular neighborhood with 3 houses out of 120 some houses without power. But there were 22,000 customers affected yesterday, per what NIPSCO reported.
Right.
So and so I mean, these storms ripped through here, man, and did a lot of damage. We are very fortunate that worse damage didn't happen, that none of these trees fully came down onto our house or garage, and that could have been a whole other drama.
Right.
So, but my Sunday was kind of shitty, but my Saturday was fucking cool. Let's talk about it.
Why was your Saturday so cool, Nate?
Because I woke up early and I got myself together and we got the three of us got in the car, and we drove to Lafayette to visit my homie Tyler, who I'm talking to on the podcast right now. And not only just visit, we kind of had a game plan we've been discussing for a while that you and I were going to revitalize or bring to life, if you will, your nerd room.
Mm-hmm.
Comic room, Star Wars room, whatever the hell you want to call
Right.
it, collectibles den, whatever. But you had employed me. You said, hey, man, I need your assistance. I have some ideas, and I'm not sure how to quite accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish because there is a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you sent me videos and whatnot, and I was like, it is kind of a lot, and I had given a couple suggestions of how I would tackle and approach this so that when I got to you on Saturday, we would be efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we did an okay job, I would say.
Yeah, we got, just rewind a little bit. We bought this house 2 years ago. This is year number 2 that we've lived in the house. And I bought the house a month later, 2.5, 3 months later, I got married. And then a month later, I made a job change where I took a $60,000 pay cut and to bide my time before I could get into the apprenticeship that I'm in right now. And when we moved in, you know, we had plans for that room. It was going to be an office. It was going to be like a secondary baby room. It was going to be a guest room. And then we just started shoving shit in there. And, you know, between how much I worked at the time I moved in here and then everything else, it's basically just become a storage unit. And I've wanted it to be like every house that my dad's ever had has had a Star Wars room, and I've always want to have that too. And you and I were just bullshitting one day, and I was like, you know, it's been a while since we've hung out. Obviously, you should come down and we can kind of build this room together. And I took like 2 weeks and just cleaned a little bit every day. And we got 99% of it done.
Man, I mean, the way it worked when I was there in my head was, and I'm just, this is who I am. It's not anything I mean to be or anything I'm trying to boast. When you ask me to help, my goal is to like honestly, I even feel like I left a little too early and left shit on the table, but it was at the point where it was just like decorating, which I totally understand can be a process. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you're like, hey, can you help me? And it was like, yeah. And then when I'm there, you know, one simple tiny question, you said, can you help me move this fucking sofa to the road? And it wasn't like let's delay it, let's not do it, let's forget that it exists. In that moment, I said, let's fucking just go do it right now. Mm-hmm. Boom, kick it in. Got it handled, you know, and then got the garage in a little bit of better order, and then that helped to fuel what the nerd room was doing. It was very cohesive, all the moves that were being made. And then, you know, we got to get some setup going in your collectible awesome nerd room of awesomeness. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what you're calling it yet, but
I haven't named it quite yet. You know, originally it was going to be a Star Wars room, and the majority of the shit that's going to be in there is going to be Star Wars related, but there's so much other stuff that it can't just be Star Wars room. So I'll have to workshop it and think about what it's going to be. But you didn't just help me clean.
For a couple weeks.
You didn't just help me clean. You made me a badass piece of art.
Oh yeah, yes I did.
That's going to be featured in the nerd room. I said it's going to be featured in the nerd room.
Yeah, sweet. We were talking after the last podcast, I think it was, or maybe 2 podcasts ago, something like that. And we were talking about this planned extravaganza we were going to be having of working on this. And I had shown you some other pieces that I had done of other characters and stuff. And I was initially just going to gift you things that I don't have out. And I was like, it doesn't feel right to me to do that. I hadn't painted in like 4.5, 5 years. So I said, fuck it, man. I brought out my sprays. I worked a design. I figured something out cool. I totally imagined that color design on my own based on colors I know you like. Literally, it was like in my head, what colors represent Tyler? I pulled them all out on onto the table, and I was like, okay, which ones go best together? And then that's how the colors came together. The only color I was a little bit upset with, I didn't have a bright enough yellow. I wanted it to be a little more poppy, but that's just a personal design preference for me. So it was really cool, though, to get back in it. It made me feel very creative, and in allowing me to create, it made me realize that I want to keep doing spray work. So I'm going to probably be making more pieces now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've already commissioned you to do another one, so
that one's already in my head cooking. I've been sitting on it for since Saturday, actually, just trying to figure out some different concepts of what to do, and I think I have a cool idea. I just got to execute it properly.
Cool.
So... but yeah, no, it was a lot of fun to work your room and to figure out how it was going to look, and to help you get your pop wall in order, and figure out we did a good job of organizing where things were going to be grouped, kind of, so that when it does come time that you're putting up shelves or whatever, you could just go bop bop boom done, and it's super fast. But honestly, man, I just can't wait for there to be a time where we get to podcast in that room. Once it's completely set up, and you and I could just put down a table and just be podcasting.
And that's part of the goal. I've got my pseudo podcasting studio in my living room, and it's kind of just like a smaller representation of what that room was up there. It's got fish tank stuff on it, and my computer, Dungeons and Dragons shit on it. And it's cluttered. I have a problem with clutter.
No, I think you have a daughter who likes to run you dry, and you don't have time to sit and clean every tiny little thing that happens. You're just like, I'll get to that eventually. I'll do that eventually. Ruby was a hyper little girl on Saturday, bro.
Yeah, we told her the week before you guys got there, and then every day up until you guys got there, that's all she talked about.
Oh. It was so much fun. The girls had a blast hanging out with Ruby and Skylar and stuff. And like I said, I think we accomplished a lot. It was really nice to bond in that way in a totally different environment than we've been really allowed to. I feel like there's always an event we're doing together when we're together. It's not even if it's not LaffyCon, the last time you and I got to really hang out was Captain Marvel. And that was going to do a thing and then talking about it. So It was nice to just have a different experience. We got to go to Hobby Lobby, which fucking blew my fucking mind. There was some shit I'd never seen before. I was like, Flash handles? They have handles that are the Flash? I can buy? What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of cool shit in there. I hate going in there, but...
Too many cool shits. But they also had... too many fucking Christmas decorations. Fuck off with that shit.
And they didn't have the picture frame sizes that we needed. So
those are some weird frame sizes, though, to be fair.
Right, but still, I mean, if you're a store that boasts about your picture frame inventory, you would think that you might have one or two oddball sizes.
You right. They're like, we're not stocking those. Nope.
We're above
We're not
those.
doing it. No way. It was cool, too, man. I want to mention, before I forget, that, you were super gracious, and you didn't even have to do this because it wasn't anything I was even expecting, but you gifted me a couple things that came from your nerd collection that were either doubles or had different valued meanings to you and whatnot. And I've got this awesome R2B1 pop that I used to have and sold, and now I have it again, which is cool. Makes me feel nice, as well as Han Solo Hoth, which was a GameStop exclusive. But the thing that I really cannot wait to get up in the room is the Empire Strikes Back plaque.
I don't even remember how I got two of those.
You probably bought one once, set it in that box, forgot you bought it,
and
bought
it
a different
again.
one, and then was like, I need to get this one, it's so badass, and then bought it again.
But yeah,
you might have in fact pulled a Blaine.
Yeah. Maybe not quite Blaine.
Fair enough. He would have bought every single kind of wood plaque they had there, even if it didn't have anything to do with shit. He's like, I'm just buying every wood plaque they have. Give him all the money. Kidding. We love you, Blaine. He's probably going to kick me in the balls later or something. But no, man, it was really wicked fun time hanging out. We got to have some delicious food that I've jammed a couple times since then. And am going to continue to jam after this podcast because that ziti was the titties.
It's been a long time since I went to Olive Garden, and that salad and the pasta and everything was great.
Man, it set me right after doing all that work we had been doing, you know, and it was just like refreshed, ran out to the Hobby Lobby, did that shit, got back, knocked down a few more things, and did you make any further progress after I left? Did you get some more stuff done, or have you hung anything up yet?
I haven't hung anything up yet because I basically spent most of the day yesterday looking at different ways that I can hang certain things in different shelves. So I think in, you know, because you and I had talked about putting like a corner curio in one of the main corners. I looked at some actual corner shelving that, you know, it's obviously not a curio, but I'll be able to do basically like floor to ceiling and actually get a little bit more surface area for not as expensive and not have another piece of furniture to lug around, you know.
Totally.
But yeah, I basically I got a bunch of the trash and empty boxes and stuff that we had at the end. And then I spent most of the day yesterday just workshopping it, like, you know, because we established a basic framework of where everything was go. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'll move this a little bit and then add another shelf and what have you. So.
Oh, Tyler.
Excuse me.
Right? Oh, gosh.
It just snuck up on me there.
I saw that happen in real time. He was just like looking at the camera, and then it just killed him. It was very bizarre.
That hurt my head.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Wowzers.
Ugh.
But yeah, so I'll definitely keep you updated. We're going on vacation next week, so I'm just gonna tidy for the rest of the week, and then when we get back, we'll hit it again.
Oh yeah, next week, folks, is gonna be. I think we have a fill-in guest host coming probably to do the show. I need to remember to remind him that we discussed that. Oh, shit. Yeah, man. You guys are going on vacation. That's going to be a blast.
Much needed.
We're going to kind of be also in the same area, actually, strangely enough. We're going to be in Kentucky on the 25th for a show. And then when are you guys going?
The 28th.
Yeah, so right in that time frame. Actually, I think that means that we'll have 258 will be with you if you're free that week, the weekend before you go.
Yeah, well, I'll be here to record this upcoming Sunday, and then I just won't be the next.
D23 will have happened. We're gonna have lots to discuss. Cool.
Yeah, I really look forward to that because the last couple weeks, Disney's really starting to amp up their marketing campaign for Disney Plus. You know, each day we're getting closer and closer to November, and just seeing them ramp up the ad campaign for Disney Plus makes me really excited for episode 9 coming out in December, obviously. So, you know, once everything starts to hit, which will be Sunday, basically with D23, then I would imagine Disney's going to turn it up to 11 and just let it loose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like Saturday is going to be their real big announcement day, but we're going to be getting all the fallout from those announcements into Sunday, which is, man, there's a lot of people that are saying they're gonna tell us what Phase 5 is. There might be an unreleased or unannounced Phase 4 movie. There might be some crazy Disney Plus show we haven't been told about or some shit, you know? Whatever they say, bow down to them.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
Disney's taking all the money. I mean, we've said this just the last time we talked about, you know, their price point and $12.99. They even came out and said that our price point is not to put Netflix out of business, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd say that. I think it is kind of to put them out of business.
I stand by my opinion that Netflix is going to be okay.
I'm sure they will be.
Because of the contracts that they have in place and the actors and directors and all the teams that they've partnered with. I think they're going to come out of it all right. I think they're definitely going to feel it, especially right at the beginning, because the amount of subscribers that drop, at the beginning of November, I would imagine is going to be pretty substantial. But I think ultimately they'll get a lot of those subscribers back. They'll, like, say you and I, for example, we both cancel our Netflix in November when Disney Plus drops. Who's to say that January 1, Netflix doesn't run some crazy promotion where for $5 a month, get your Netflix.
If you've had a account previously... Yep. Ooh.
For $5 a month for, say, maybe a year, we'll give you this promotional pricing. Or maybe instead of the monthly subscription, here's our bottom dollar for a year subscription of Netflix. Say maybe it's $80. That's considerably cheaper than it actually is. So that might be enough to do it.
I think that's a good way to look at it with streaming services, because I think you're right. They're not always forever lost. Mm-hmm. I think the lower tiered ones, like your Crackles and stuff like that, and the stuff that's not really prominent, but I've noticed Hulu Plus, or now it's just Hulu, obviously, or whatever, is it's got a lot of FX stuff on it now and stuff, and they're starting to roll out all that Fox stuff on it, and you can tell Disney has now integrated their Hulu purchase as well, and it's starting to become noticeable, and I'm sure that in the coming months we're going to notice changes to Hulu. I'm going to say it again, there's going to be a point where they offer, if you have Hulu right now, just pay X dollar for Disney Plus, because there are some people that, I'm not going to lie, I might not really need to have ESPN Plus, but I already have Hulu, so if you give me an option to get Disney Plus, I'm all over it.
And you and I talked about that previously, the 3-bundle price point is fantastic for $12.99, but I don't necessarily need Hulu or ESPN Plus because I have YouTube TV, which gets me all the sports that I want, and I get Hulu for free already. So, right out of the gate, I'm probably just going to pay that $12.99. But if they give me the option to kind of alter your bundle, then for sure. I mean, it's just smart business to do it that way. And who's to say, like, say spring of next year, they don't add anything additional to Disney Plus? Like, as far as streaming services, so you've got Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Hulu. Who's to say that they don't acquire something else and then bundle that in as well?
Yes. Oh, that would be, what? You acquired all of the Spider-Man rights from Sony? What?
I don't necessarily know, just off the top of my head, if there's anything, that would even be worthwhile to, try and grab a hold of and bring into a bundle like that. But we've talked enough on this show about how business savvy Disney as a company is. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acquisitions that they're looking to make, in the next year, in the next 5 years, in the next decade, going on right now. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I can't wait for the future of like I said, bow down to the kings of Disney. They just have it. They've got it figured out. They have the money. They bankrolled when their time was right. They took their shot with Marvel. Marvel allowed them to acquire Star Wars. Star Wars allows them to acquire Fox. Like, it's all kind of like the new Disney empire.
Well, and little or kind of inconsequential news that's come out here recently. Both Alien and The Predator are both going to be rebooted 100% from Disney, and at least from the Alien side, they're looking at not letting Ridley Scott direct, but bring him in as a producer. So if you go all the way back to the first Nerds of the Round Table I was on, my one question I brought to the table was, what's going to happen to Alien and Predator, those universes, or that IP moving forward? You know, and we spitballed and threw a lot of stuff out there. There's two people that I always want to be involved in the Alien franchise. I want Ridley Scott and James Cameron both involved. So if you can have James Cameron direct, which I think might be a little bit pricey, but if you can have him direct and Ridley Scott produce, we're fine. I think they both, they bring the best of both worlds, at least for that franchise. So if you bring them both in on the project moving forward, then we can get the best of both worlds and grow that brand back to what it was in the early 80s, really.
I think you'd have to take a chance, though. I mean, I agree with what you're saying to a degree. However, I think that if you're going to have James Cameron involved, I don't want him to direct.
Okay.
We've already seen his vision. I think he should be an executive producer as well. Him and Ridley co-EV.
Okay.
Or producing. And let every decision, they have final say.
Okay.
And you bring in a new, young, talented director who is poised to bring something different to the table. Say, I've
already got one for you.
I was going to say Jordan Peele, but maybe he's not the first choice in everybody's mind. But go ahead. Who do you think?
Neil Blomkamp.
Amazing choice, absolutely.
He originally signed on to do an entry into the Alien franchise, basically picking up right where Aliens left off. Kind of along the same vein that they did with Terminator. Drop everything off that happened after your heavy hitter, your number one movie, and then create a new universe that way. And then basically Fox said, well, we really want you to do this project. We're going to put it on hold and allow Ridley Scott to finish, his vision with Prometheus and then Alien Covenant and what have you, and then ultimately his project got scrapped. So you've got a young director who has mild success, but his artistic vision is second to none as far as the sci-fi genre goes.
Absolutely.
Reach out to him again because he's still interested, and let him do it with the two kings of the franchise kind of guiding his hand.
I mean, it would be amazing if they can all be on the same page and agree, and the vision be the correct thing, and the script be right, and the story be, impactful. It has to hold weight. You would do obviously a sequel to Aliens, or Alien.
Well, that was originally what Blomkamp's project was supposed to be, but I like the idea better of doing the full reboot. Just having those key
universe.
those key people involved.
Okay.
And
I think it would be phenomenal.
And the same needs to be said for Predator too. Predators, really the last good entry in the Predator franchise with Adrian Brody was pretty successful, and it wasn't bad. The last Predator movie was awful. So You've taken that away from Fox, and there's proof in the pudding that the fan base still wants to experience this universe. Give them what they want, and that's what Disney's best at.
I couldn't agree more, because Disney is best at taking things that are true to people's hearts, and they go, we can breathe new life into this because these characters have been beat down. Predator and Alien are kind of in some ways jokes, if you will, because of some of the things they've gone through in their franchise history. But it's because of poor storytelling.
Right.
Not because the characters are bad. It's because the people who were allowed to tell stories did not tell very encapsulating stories. They did not tell things that really got people or gave you what a movie should do, is entertain you and make you think beyond just what is in front of you. So I think there's a possibility for them to really take hold with these new
especially too
franchise.
Because a lot of the fan base of Marvel and Star Wars say that Disney has a problem paying attention to source material, and I'm not going to debate that, because I think that they stay true enough to the source material and put their own spin on things well enough that they don't necessarily have to. You look at all the AVP comics that got really popular in the 90s and early 2000s, and then all of the expanded universe books. It's along the same lines as Star Wars. There's enough stories to tell as far as source material goes. It's not that hard to write a compelling survival horror story with aliens in space. There's a lot of franchises that have done it.
Or with predators on Earth.
Mm-hmm. And
I mean, there's so much room for storytelling too, and all it takes is just a creative way of looking at things. And I think that a problem that a lot of studios in Hollywood and history have had, predating even Disney having a lot of the rights to these different series, is that like they didn't care. They were trying to turn out cash.
Right.
It wasn't about, does the story impact? Will it last generations? Is it going to be good and hold up true to this franchise? It was, well, will we get their money? Will we get their money? Can we get their money?
Mm-hmm.
And then they ran that well dry, and they tried Alien versus Predator, and that is a whole series in and of itself. And then Prometheus comes along, and then it's Alien Covenant. And it's all these different iterations, and not to say that there aren't good movies in there. There's some of those movies I just mentioned are awesome, and I really do love them. But the outside looking in, it's not quite the same, because you can see that the almighty dollar is what's speaking.
Right. And Disney, anything that Disney invests in, they're in it for the long game, not the short game. So if they put the time and the work in to making Alien and Predator, two heavy hitter franchises from the 80s, prominent or relevant again, it's going to be worthwhile in as far as time and dollar spent. Because the return that they're going to see on that investment is going to be incredible.
Especially with the modern era of social media, how reviews spread like wildfire. A good movie becomes great because people hype it consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it needs. So you do have an opportunity there for sure. I absolutely 100% agree with you. What do you think they're going to do with some of the animated series that they have, though?
It's pouring down rain at my house. My wife was just telling me.
Oh, lovely. Now you have storms.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Glad I didn't start mowing.
Yeah, you'd be soaked. But what do you think about some of these animated properties that Disney now has a hold of? Will we see revitalizations, kind of like how Rocko's Modern Life and Invader Zim have had new life breathed into them?
I don't know. I think IP like The Simpsons is something that you kind of just got to leave alone. You just got to let it continue the path that it's been on since its inception. I've watched very little Simpsons. I've just never really dug it. But Disney has the capital to make it whatever they want, or take what's there and make it better. We've made the joke that everything that Disney touches turns to gold. I think especially if you look at the animated property that they now have acquired, that may be more true than all this other IP that we've been discussing, because you keep your core animators on the payroll, and then you put the right people writing the stories, and you don't have to shoot a scene 7,000 times because an actor can't get a line right, or they can't get the camera angle correct. They're going to see even more return on that investment, I feel, anyway.
I agree. I think that the way you look at it makes a lot of sense. You're stripping away and saying, if you put the right people in charge at every position, it's not just about ancillary things within that make people hireable. They need to have that certain it factor that they can point out shit from not shit. It's easy. Good from bad. Know internally whether you're going to be able to give a performance or not give a performance, and what kind of actors are easy to work with and aren't assholes. You know, I feel like a lot of the people we don't see in the MCU, not necessarily always, but I think that there are a lot of bigger names in Hollywood that will never touch the MCU because they're assholes. And MCU don't want to mess with those kind of people because they're not going to be hyping the movie. They're going to be hard to work with. They're going to be so impossible to convince to stay a part of the franchise that you're going to end up with the recasting of like, Ed Norton or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think we just need to stay back and see what happens with the future of what Disney has. But I think it's about time, if you're ready, should we transition this beast into the conversation of conversations part 2?
I'm ready.
So last episode, folks, if you tune in to Journey into Comics, Tyler and I dove in very deep on House of X issue 1 by Jonathan Hickman. It was a deep read with a lot of stuff we covered. We went over excruciatingly panel by panel by panel by panel. This week we're going to cover in reading order because I want to stick true to what they suggest you do. Do it by reading order. We are going to be diving into Powers of X number 1. Right out the gate, before we actually talk about the story or anything, how did you feel about this book?
At first, some of the character decisions that they took in this book was a little odd to me on first read. Now that I've read it twice, I understand why they took certain directions and kind of the little plot threads that they're slowly but surely sprinkling in. One thing that really struck me about this book, or this run of this kind of co-issued story, is I actually, even though it's along the same style, I liked a lot of the art in this book more than I did House of X number 1.
It definitely has a little bit of a different quality to it. I'm certain there are 2 different artists working on the books, but I agree with you that the art was beautiful. One thing that was really interesting to me, just to note on the story, was that I really loved how it kind of was broken down in 4 different eras. You get like, I wouldn't even say 25% of each story because it's really heavily chunked in that third quarter's story. Very little of the first, very little of the second, big middle third bit, and a little bit of the fourth for this book. Well,
and it needs to be said as well that a good portion of this book are panels and portions of the story that we've already seen in House of X number 1.
Actually, I think that some of these are also panels we see in House of X 2. Because they also do because we read them wrong. We should note that you and I initially read them wrong. We read House of X 1 and 2 and then Powers of X 1. But House of X 2, which we're going to get into next week, does feature some art and some stuff that ties back into this story where Moira McTaggart is on the bench with Charles Xavier in the Dream Year, is what they call it. And that is what we are going to talk about is the canonical version of Charles Xavier 1.0, the simpler times for the X-Men in the comic realm. And then you have The World, which is the modern version of Charles Xavier with the X helmet on that's like modern Cerebro and whatnot and is controlling everybody in Krakoa, as we discussed. And that story, we're going to dive into that a little bit in a minute too. The third version was it called The War? But it's the 100-year mark. And that is featuring Nimrod, which is still Charles Xavier, mind you. Okay, a version thereof. And then 1,000 years into the future, in year X10, is Ascension. and that's still a different version of, but still Charles Xavier.
Yeah, it goes the dream, the war, the world, or I'm sorry, the dream, the world, the war, and ascension.
Wow, I did remember it. Cool. That makes me feel excited when I actually remember all 4 parts of that, because I was certain I was going to fuck that up when I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, I'm going to miss one of these. Just keep it in mind. The dream is a sequence that we're going to, as I said, we're going to get more of that in House of X 2.
Yeah,
it's a very small...
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you.
No, you're okay. We're just both excited to talk about it.
I misspoke. That was the portion that I was talking about was featured in House of X1, and you're right, it is in House of X2.
Yeah, because they give you a little chunk of it here, which makes more sense now why it's the whole story of 2, and you understand it better. But they don't. The dream sequence of this is only a few pages. It's only 3 or 4 pages long. It's Charles and Moira meeting. They have a conversation that we're going to get a deeper version of next issue. And then we jump to the world, which is X. Was it like 3 or 4? Because they have the little numbers next to them. It's like, or is it X1? Because X0 is the dream, X1 is the world?
Yes.
Okay. And then it's 5 and 10 for War and Ascension? Wow, okay. So, the dream sequence is very short, but I think that one of the more important sequences that we aren't really discussing yet is the second sequence in the world with what happens with Mystique.
Yeah, you get not necessarily the climax, but the what's the word I'm looking for?
Resolution?
Yes, you get the resolution to the Brotherhood of Mutants stealing this what looks like a thumb drive of information when the Fantastic Four showed up and captured Sabretooth and whatnot in the last issue. One thing that I want to point out is, on this panel it says X1, the X-Men, year 10, and you get to see Mystique and Toad come through this portal, and the light shining through the trees and everything that's going on there. That is just incredible. The artist did a fantastic job. I can't say that enough.
Oh, it's beautiful. The color renderings, absolutely. How it's got like that morning sunrise feel to it. Really, it does. But I also think that they do a lot of interesting choices with how they frame their camera in this. Like the shot on Go Play Toad when she's walking into Krakoa is from Raven's hip and her gun. It's not from behind her in a distance. It's not in her mouth talking. They chose to say that from her weapon. And small choices like that are always intriguing to me.
Right.
But yeah, they successfully get the thumb drive to Magneto. But that was, and that's another thing. What did you think about the conversation that Mystique and Magneto have about what's going on?
At first, I thought, I don't know. At first, I thought it was a little bit lackluster, just because it was kind of I don't know, like snobby guy has a girl in his house and he's pouring a drink and he's fancy. That's just. I mean, obviously, that's not how I feel about it. But when I first flipped to this page, I was like, just looking at the art, that's the kind of the vibe that I got. Like the mastermind always waiting for his minions to do all the work. But I think Magneto's dialogue is it may not seem very important in this panel, but ultimately this will somehow be super relevant going forward.
Yeah, he's kind of hopeful even.
And it's kind of a perspective that you don't normally get from Magneto.
Hardly ever. He's never a glass half full, as it were, because he's pouring himself a drink kind of guy. One thing I want to interestingly note is the page where it's a close-up of his face about to take the drink. Fan casting, if he was still alive, fucking David Bowie.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
Like, all day.
If he could have the frame,
I really can't look away from it.
to represent. If he could have the frame to represent, kind of this version of Magneto, it'd be incredible.
Absolutely. But Raven and Magneto, or not Raven, well, I guess Raven is her real name, but she kind of says that if you're going to get this thumb drive from me, I've got some more demands. And of all people, Xavier shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And he is like, it's funny because he just reads her mind. He knows what her demands are. She doesn't say them, so you don't ever get that. We don't know what her demands are. But he's like, well, if you have demands, we need more as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of explains that if whoever's going to live in Krakoa in this new world for mutants, they owe it something. It's kind of a different side of Xavier, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a couple lines of dialogue here. Mystique turns the question back on Xavier. Is helping your fellow mutant not reward enough for the great Charles Xavier? And he responds with, we're building a better mutant world, Mystique, and everyone who would live in it owes something. It's a colder tone than we're used to getting from Xavier. Almost more malicious, I feel like.
It's almost as if he and Magneto have flipped sides.
Mm-hmm.
He's the more angry, driven one who is not just doing this for the good of mutant kind, but he also maybe has a deeper plan in place.
Totally agree.
Which I think we find out deeper into the future. One thing I want to know, I do love these Stan soapbox pages they've been bringing back that are actually old soapboxes he did back in the day that they're just highlighting. It's really fucking cool.
I also really like that they put the image in the bottom left corner that says Stan Lee Forever. I really appreciate that.
Fuck yeah. It's awesome.
This Stan's soapbox came from December of 1968.
It's a good one, too. It's definitely a good one.
Still relevant.
Absolutely. Do we want to read it, or do we want to jump on to the next page?
That's up to you.
No, man, we can read it. I don't care. I like this.
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, the next time anyone puts you down for reading a comic mag, try hitting him with a little soliloquy, which I've used on various radio and TV guest appearances in the past few months. Comic books are just a medium of communication. Just as television and motion pictures are, all three employ words and pictures, and all must be judged on their individual merits. A story is a story, whether presented between two covers or on a screen. If the worlds have dramatic impact, if the pictures are visually appealing, if the theme is emotionally relevant, then certainly it is worthy of a reader's attention. However, if the quality is lacking, then it rates little consideration. Isn't this equally true of a TV program, a Broadway show, a motion picture, or any other form of entertainment? All we at Marvel ask is that our product be judged on the basis of quality, a quality which we sincerely believe is equal to that found in any other comparable media. Marvel Comics today are produced by the finest creative talent available. Read them first, and then decide. Excelsior, Smiley.
That might be more relevant now than it was in 1968.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully. But I mean, in 68 they were fighting a different cause too. You know, I think comics were kind of, just the funny papers, and they were really trying to drive home the point of content first. But you are right. Now this really rings true, especially with how the MCU has been such a huge success.
I'm looking at you specifically, Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh, dun dun dun. All right, let's jump to year 100. We have Percival. He's dying. And we don't know it's Percival yet. I'm pretty sure that's the character's name. Did I get that right?
I think it is.
I'm going forward in the pages just to see, because it will tell me. Maybe it won't tell me. I thought there was a panel that said what happened to each one, but maybe I'm not right. Oh, yeah, here it is. Nope, I didn't find it. I hate this sometimes that I can't find panels, man. It's like I know I read something and then it just doesn't appear.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's in House of X too.
But it might be. It honestly might be. But let's get back into it. 100 years into the future, or year 100 rather, there are some mutant slayer robots, I guess. Modern sentinels.
Yeah, because the next panel you actually get to see a full sentinel kind of overlording over the scene that we've got going on. So I would imagine they're like just smaller sentinels.
Yeah, they're really gnarly looking though.
That one's got 3 heads.
Yes, that one looks wild. I just noticed that. But the Silo Bell character is some sort of cyborg type mutant who is built to betray, essentially. And they're trying to extract information from her and her sister, I guess, which is more like a Nebula / Gamora type sisterhood, which they're not actually related, but bonded by the cause and whatnot, is watching her sister be attacked, and they're like waiting to attack back. This character is Rasputin, which I think is some sort of telltale that this is from the lineage of Colossus and Kitty Pryde. This is someone in their heritage.
Heritage.
Yeah, see what I did there. And then the same could be said for Cardinal, who is some form of a Nightcrawler character.
Well, like, if you think back to X-Men First Class, I mean, you get to see Azazel. When I first came onto this panel, that's immediately who I thought it was, but he's got the name Cardinal, you know.
Yeah, and they explain the name of Cardinal, too, which I appreciate. We're going to talk about them. We haven't had one yet in this issue, but the dossier sheets that, like, explain things in greater detail. So in this battle, essentially, also, that sword that Rasputin is using looks like Magic's sword.
I was thinking the same thing.
Maybe lineage there, too, also, possibly. These sentinels are fighting her. She's trying to save her sister, Silo Bell. The Cardinal is building one of the gates to Krakoa. You have to root the plant. You know, he's planted one and he's trying to build it up. And ultimately, they do not succeed in saving Silo Bell.
Yeah, she gets kind of swarmed and then taken
in like an energy bubble. And, of course, Rasputin keeps fighting it off. And then we get our first dossier, which is super heartbreaking. And I could totally see this being something they would use if they were to ever tell this story in the movies. But that, like, Silo Bell with her hand on the energy bubble telling her sister to leave is just like, ugh, heartbreaking.
Well, especially, too, because, you know, you get the little bubble of her asking Rasputin to leave, and then the next image after that is her being swarmed by people, of cyborgs, and it's taking all of those people to hold her back from her sister. So, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, she's fighting it with everything, and there's, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I count at least 6 bodies pulling her. So, taking with everything. Do you want to talk about the Sinister line, my friend?
Sure, I'll read it. Mutant breeding program. When the population level of mutants reached a crisis point and the constant evasion, relocation, confrontation cycle made systemic mutant propagation impossible, the remaining mutant leadership endorsed or approved the creation of the sinister breeding pits of Mars. Under the expert hand of chief mutant geneticist Mr. Sinister, this strategy mirrored the Earth-based Sentinel Hound program, but instead of focusing on the interbreeding of mutants with powers that lend themselves to detection, pursuit, and deception, the Sinister strategy focused on mutants with power sets that had more aggressive militaristic traits. These lost years of mutant leadership followed the almost universal death or disappearance of senior leaders, and preceding the fall of Krakoa and Mars, many believed rampant rumors that the lost years were not accidental but purposeful.
It says "See Betrayal," which we talk about on this next panel. We actually get a breakdown of the DNA and how they're showing you what they mean, and they're taking essentially DNA traits from multiple mutants that are powers and splicing them into one mutant to create a new form of mutant and a new power set, essentially, that has traits of all these different things. So, to discuss Chimera, it says the first generation of sinister mutants were uniformly designed to be divergent copies of a singular DNA source with a pure, uncompromised X gene, commonly referred to as fodder inside the breeding pits. These mutant soldiers were trained in the Martian underground until they reached the age of 16, at which time they traveled to Krakoa to defend the mutant nation-state until it fell 30 years later. The second and third generation of sinister mutants were referred to as Chimera class. In the second Chimera generation produced mutants that had DNA composed of two separate X genes, resulting in a mutant with mostly predictable combined power sets of the source mutants. The third Chimera generation produced mutants with an amalgamated DNA featuring up to 5 X genes. Outside of a predictable failure rate, see outliers, this third generation of Chimera was universally successful against the man-machine supremacy, and many believed that this would be the turning point in the war. However, the fourth generation of sinister mutants suffered a systematic failure. The entire batch of these Omega-based Chimera mutants was produced with the corrupted hive mind that was only discovered to be effective after they had destroyed 40% of Krakoa itself. They eventually committed mass suicide, collapsing Mars, the sinister pits, and themselves into self-singularity. And it shows here in the little breakdown, sample is Rasputin's Chimera. It shows her different power traits are, teleporting. Looks like, I can't read all these. She's got healing powers, several other powers, but they all combine into one trait to be Rasputin 4. Telepathy and metamorphosis, healing. I don't know what that last one is. Intangibles, maybe?
I don't know.
But then it goes to outliers. Like any experiment, Sinister's breeding program would produce results that fell outside of the expected range, a failure rate. Every generation of mutant chimeras had outliers, but the expectation was that these failures would be controllable at worst and acceptable at best. It shows the failure rate, which in Generation 1 was 0.3%. Generation 2 was 1.2%. Generation 3 was 9.4%, and Generation 4 was a whopping 62.3% failure rate. Generation 3 had 10% failure rate where, in spite of their being bred for war, these mutants developed passive peacetime power sets. Almost all of these outlier mutants had personality profiles that lent themselves to pacifism and an obsession with creation myths. They also rejected the idea of personal identities and refused individual names. These variants were all called Cardinal. The fall of Betrayal. Do you want to do Betrayal?
Sure. The fall of Krakoa and destruction of the Martian breeding pits was directly preceded by the betrayal of mutants by Mr. Sinister. Retrospectively, it is obvious that Mr. Sinister was playing a longer game of self-interest that superseded any formal association or alliance. And while the failings of the Generation 4 mutants were clearly a design flaw baked into their design, it is now believed that most of the random circumstances that led to the creation of Sinister's program were in fact orchestrated by him. The nature of that man, Sinister, reaches far beyond any hope of redemption. There can be no salvation for the devil himself. Sinister was publicly executed by the man-machine supremacy after defecting.
Brutal. And in that same generation of time, 100 years into the future, we travel to Tower of Nimrod the Lesser, the human-machine monolith. And Omega is with him, it seems. This new character, Omega. I don't know a lot of these characters in this new X-Men universe, so some of these people might not be new and have already had first appearances.
Well, we've established who Nimrod the Lesser is. You know, it's Charles Xavier.
Yeah, it's a version of Charles that's in the 100-year era, who maybe is just a surviving version of like his mind inside this casing. Or something to that effect. I'm not really sure. They don't really fully explain it to us. But he is brought Silobel, and they have some really, really awful stuff they intend to do to her. I'm trying to find it here, because essentially they are trying to get all of her secrets out. And they tell Nimrod's like, look, I've got this thing that we're going to put you in, and it's going to break you down to where you're only data. Because they know she's not going to crack, because she's the last hound from the kennel, which was the Sentinel mutant breeding camp. So she's like a master of keeping secrets, essentially.
I like how vindictive Nimrod is. You know, Silobel says, if it takes 1,000 years, I swear we will endure and erase you from existence. And he responds with, that's the spirit. I love it, as he claps his hands.
Yeah. He's just like, you know, like, great, you're doing exactly what I expected you to do. You're not going to give up. You know, you're proven to be who I've heard you are, I guess, is the way to look at it. But then Omega kind of makes an observation that her AI might be young and still learning. Parsing the data comes without a clear window of recovery, meaning that she could learn what she needs to do tomorrow or decades from now. But when the information is useless, you can't really find it. So they're like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and put her in the vat. And I think Nimrod's excited to use the vat. He kind of is jubilant in this moment. He's like shocked, like she's gonna agree. She's gonna actually go through with it. And then he's like, please let me do it. And she just kind of grotesquely just goes, have it your way. And he just like, yes, got it.
Yeah, he's really creepy.
Absolutely creepy. He's like Apocalypse Omega Red danced with fucking some other juggernaut looking ass character. Sentinel being. So they take her, they inject her with this stuff, and he tells her, he says, I am so sorry for what I'm about to do to you. You see, I built something, a repository of sorts, a monument to understanding the mutant anomaly. But sometimes innovation has a biological cost, and when you add your willingness or your unwillingness to let us know the things we need to, well, necessity narrows our options even more. Soon all of these chambers will be filled of your kind. Your bodies, and more importantly your minds, will be submerged in femtofluid, where you will be suspended and distilled down to nothing but data. He says, curated by an AI of my own making, my very own brood. Unfortunately, for one of mine to flourish, many of yours must perish, including you. So as you fade away into nothingness, do try to find it in your heart to forgive me. There's the old Charles Xavier we know.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, hey, it's going to be all right. And she says, you're threatening, and it's not a threat. And she even tries to get out of the thing, and Omega's like, you can, try to escape, but unfortunately it's a kind of death you can't escape from. This was a very deep part, and we're not even done with it yet.
Mm-hmm.
We get another dossier thing here, Tyler. Do you think we really need to deeply cover the kennel, or
no? I think we can just cliff note it.
Okay, it's essentially where Silo Bell was created, and she was the first with a unreadable black brain.
Mm-hmm. It's been gone for 10 years.
So
it was
she's
destroyed.
Yeah, and she's one of her kind of her own kind, even though she's of a specific kind. She's a very specific one of one
mm-hmm.
in these creations. But they were bred for betrayal. That's important to note. So we get. I don't understand this panel a little bit. I want you to try to explain this to me. Why is this first 3 panels upside down?
I think it's because they're in a reality, or because it says the No Place hub. It's almost like the upside down in Stranger Things.
Okay, that makes sense. Absolutely, that absolutely makes sense. So the No Place hub is where Rasputin and Cardinal are coming through. They're feeling the loss of Silo Bell. They are greeted by some people, my dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like we've got an old man Wolverine looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
Magneto, who's real old looking and in green, kinda.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Groot.
It does look like Groot. And is that supposed to be Cosmic Ghost Rider?
I don't believe so.
Or some sort of future Ghost Rider type?
Just a minute. I read an article the other day that said who that was.
Oh, sweet.
So, chat while I look it up.
Sure. I'm going to talk about the surviving mutants real quick, because that's another dossier page we have. Surviving mutants, total mutant population under the man-machine supremacy. The current estimated number of surviving Homo sapiens superior is currently believed to be less than 10,000. The vast majority of these mutants are transplants. Refugees no longer live on Earth or in their native solar system. 2 main colonies, which make up the bulk of the refugees, exist in the Shi'ar space. The first, Benevolence, is a converted transit station located on the fringe of Shi'ar space, where it has long served as a buffer between the Empire and the wild space spawning grounds of breeding territory. The current number of mutants living on Benevolence is just under 8,000 of that 10,000. The second mutant colony is located on the Shi'ar throne world of Chandelier, and is less than 2,000 mutants who live here. By treaty with the Empire, warriors stock for the Imperial Guard. Currently, 6 mutants serve as super guardians, and 57 are sub-guardian of sub-guardian classification. They denote that it has long been whispered in Imperial circles that Empress Xandra has always had ambitious plans to annex the Sol systems, and the mutant guardmen are being cultivated to be sympathetic conquerors as an emollient for Imperial rule. Inside the mutant community, it is hoped that, should this come to pass, the surviving mutants can serve as a seed stock for repopulation. Essentially, they're going to keep mutants alive forever. Soul mutants. These are they're all living mutants in the Sol system are currently citizens of Asteroid K.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the last 8 remaining. After recent deaths of X-Hound Silo Bell and the ghost Percival, there's that thing about Percival, the current population on Asteroid K is 8. All right, what did you find, my man?
It's Zorn.
Zorn.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And is that Groot or no?
I don't think so. They haven't said one way or the other.
Okay.
A lot of the articles that I read is people believe that it's actually a sentient piece of Krakoa.
Oh.
So it's either Groot or
fucking...
Walking Krakoa. No one knows.
I like Walking Krakoa. That's the episode title. we're now in year 1000, and we still see Silobel in this one vat.
Mm-hmm.
Never gone. Unfortunately, their use for her being in there is none. We have a floating miniaturized version of Nimrod, which is down to some sort of technology, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the least amount of story we get of all the stories of the 4 parts of this book, because this is only a few pages, a few short panels. We have the librarian, which again I'm pretty sure is a version of Xavier.
Well, it's kind of weird at this point because Nimrod is a version of Xavier, who is now this little floating drone. But from what you get in the art at the beginning of the book, this librarian should also be a version of Xavier. So that would mean that these 2 versions of Xavier are existing simultaneously.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Which leaves to have an interesting question. Of course, with what we learn and what we're going to learn in the House of X2, which we're not going to talk about because that would be a spoiler right now, it is possible that employing that same logic, this could be a version of Xavier through her life.
Okay.
Which means it could be still him, because it's just a different variant on which version of him she's experiencing.
Gotcha.
So he kind of leaves himself behind, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're talking about whose fault it is, and Nimrod's trying to blame himself. He wasn't built to maintain integrity for a millennium. And the librarian kind of notes that he did his best, considering they were trying to call this information to use in war, which at this point in existence, war is not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. The war between humans and mutants and machine is over.
I like that these books are really highlighting how at a certain point it's not just it's not just Homo sapien versus Homo superior, humans versus mutants. It's now humans versus mutants versus machine versus humans. It becomes this triangle of conflict.
Correct, because the Sentinels they stop giving a fuck that you're human.
Mm-hmm. Because
they think you by all rights should be locked up too.
Mm-hmm. And every living thing is somehow has some variation of mutation. So, you know, I have an extra joint in my finger. That's a mutation. You know.
Do you really?
No, I'm just throwing that out as an example.
Sure. I was like, damn, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But they essentially look at the hive mind of what used to be Krakoa. It's kind of like the final bubble of Krakoa.
Mm-hmm.
And we get kind of this like almost biblical Adam and Eve type thing in the final panel.
Yeah, it's called the Preserve.
Thank you, the Preserve. Now I see it. But yeah, he has the librarians looking down on the Preserve, and you see 2 figures. The male kind of looks like Wolverine a little bit, I'll note.
Mm-hmm. I thought the same thing.
The female, I'm uncertain who they're trying to mimic there, but we kind of get left on this like little thing that's super prominent, and I wanted to read from this book. It says, as a reminder of what this world used to be like, and to remember what we overcame, it's important to keep records of the great sins of history, even better to preserve a remnant, to something to point at, and hope to God they never have dominion again.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a it's a little mutant preserve.
It's like the last surviving mutants, like on Noah's Ark.
Yeah. Bless you.
Oh, that snuck up on me. Thank you, my man. Damn, came out of nowhere. So the next issue we're going to be talking about is going to be House of X 2, and we've already read it a couple times, but man, what an impactful story that's going to be to discuss.
Mm-hmm. To close out this issue of Powers of X, there's a kind of ending little quote that I want to read. You've forgotten that machines have no soul and that the humans lost theirs a long time ago. It's from Rasputin.
That's awesome.
I'm really digging these little like dossiers or like little bulletin sheets that are spread out throughout these books. They're really good.
And they help drive the story further and give you a bigger picture. And, you know, I think that like some comics would try to do that narrative and that explaining through character dialogue. Mm-hmm. It would take up a lot more panels. It would also be a really dense read.
And you'd have to have more
Hickman
art.
Does a really smart, exactly. But I think that Hickman does a really great job of like looking at it and going, okay, what's the smartest play right now? Mm-hmm. And the smartest play is to just say, hey, look, you're a reader. You're an intelligent reader. You are going to be wanting to be more filled in on the story. You're going to read the dossier panels. That's going to inform you in what narratively we're doing next. And also, the more you retain that information, the deeper into the story, you're going to realize kind of what the story we're trying to tell is. It's a really great device for storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
Oh, damn.
So
okay, let's go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
All right, I'll go ahead first. So for anyone that is enjoying kind of our review and recaps and breakdowns of House of X, Powers of X, with me going on vacation and stuff, I kind of just wanted to give our schedule for what's upcoming. So this upcoming Sunday when we record, we'll probably go over House of X2 and Powers of X2 since we have both of those available. If that fits your timeline, Nate.
It does, and then us being able to do that means we'll be mostly caught up. We'll still end up being behind a week because that'll be the week you're on vacation, but then that'll give us a week to play catch up, which will be fine.
Yep, and then we can do 2 issues when we come back too if you want.
Bingo. That's the best way to do it, I think, man. Awesome. Well, is there anything else major we want to discuss before we dive on out of here?
I just wanted to close with a couple things. I'm really enjoying reading this book together. I'm really enjoying kind of being... This is my comic renaissance. Started with this book, or these 2 books. So if anyone is enjoying hearing Nate and I kind of babble about them, I strongly urge you to pick up these books, support these artists, and just enjoy it. I'm really, really enjoying it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it this much. I think I said it last week. It's been a long time since there's been an X-Men story that I was just enamored with, and there's so many loose plot threads spread out just between the 3 books that you and I have read that I am 100% invested into this story, and I look forward to finishing it all the way.
Me too. Curiosity here. What would you give book 2 here, or actually I guess technically book 1 of this other series?
So I gave book 1 of House of X a 9 out of 10. I think I would give this one an 8.
Yeah, I agree. My reasoning for giving it an 8 would just fall on the fact that it was a very dense book and not a lot of panels. Like, they gave you so much story. Some of which, because we accidentally read out of order, we understand they're going to further kind of probably peel those each layer back, and that was just like the preamble to each of those sections we just saw.
Right.
But, yeah, all in all, the art was great. The story was very solid. They're, again, guiding you in the right direction. It wasn't as heavy of a book as the first issue, which was 40-some-odd pages. This was a little bit shorter. I agree with you. I think we're in agreement. 8.
It was just a little bit drier than what we read last week, basically. Just a little bit dry. Otherwise, I would have ranked it right up there because, like I said a couple times throughout the show, the art in this issue is so fantastic that it's hard not to, kind of scream that from the rooftops, if you will.
Give it all the praise in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I love all your art. I want it on my walls.
Well,
I want my wallpaper to be House of X issue 1.
I just want my house to be the House of M. Like the House of Magneto in Krakoa.
But it'd be the House of McLaughlin.
Yes. See, you got it. You're picking up what I'm putting down.
I do. I do, in fact, do that. I like that also mention that Buckles had a crazy theory that you loved, that Hulk essentially is the reason that the multiverse exists.
Because of his snap.
Because every single person, every variant of that person being rebrought back in the 5-year time gap would create splintering realities across literally across the multiverse. It's a very clever way to look at it. And then, like, you have the whole thing with the Russo brothers today said that Nova is in Endgame. Richard Rider is in Endgame, and somebody might have spotted him, but I can't tell.
I can't tell either. But I'm inclined to believe him or believe the Russo brothers because I sent you that thing maybe a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, where rather than the Hulk being the herald of Thanos basically in Infinity War, that originally it was going to be Richard Rider. So
yeah, they had considered using him in a bigger capacity.
They obviously have love for that character or see the potential in that character. So if they have sprinkled Nova in there somewhere, that's just I don't have anything to complain about it. I hope it's true.
Dude, fucking fan theory that just hit me in the brain meats. I know what the post-credit sequence for Eternals is going to be.
Okay, lay me.
So, I don't know how the Eternals movie will end, but obviously it's going to have something to do with Thanos. Either them resolving that they acknowledged that he used to be a member of the Council or whatever, and that he did this great thing, this great tragedy, and I don't know if they're going to judge him or go back in past to bring him back to sentence him or some weird shit. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do. But after credit sequence is going to be a scene that we've never seen before. And it's going to be Thanos. It's going to be Sanctuary 2. It's going to be over Xandar. You're going to see the beam come down. You're going to see Thanos and the Black Order fucking devastate Xandar. It's going to be a quick sequence, similar to what you saw happen to Gamora's people, similar to kind of what happened on Earth in the first Avengers. And then one of the Xandarian Nova Corps is going to escape to either Earth or Contraxia, and I give reason to believe it could be Contraxia because of what we saw, to give the power of the Nova to Richard Rider, who then essentially is born into the universe, and we have this backstory that supports it because we've never seen how the Power Stone was acquired.
Right.
So Thanos goes to acquire the Power Stone in Xandar. It also creates the birth of this version of Richard Rider. It all ties in. It all also makes sense when Richard Rider shows up to kick the shit out of Thanos in that final battle, if he really is there, because he actually has a vendetta himself. This guy who I barely fucking knew gave me his powers, which I'm sure is going to employ and put his memories into Richard Rider so he understands how to even use the powers.
Right.
Which means he's going to see this guy's family and the whole nines, and it's going to be tragic. This guy's going to be essentially seeking revenge for a dead person he only knows by memory, which is weird to say.
Yeah,
but I think that's going to be a good launching point.
Yeah, and I think with what they've kind of built up with Captain Marvel, having Captain Marvel and Nova both in the universe, I think will be a really good dynamic if Thor takes a back seat for a little while.
Which he could. He could be totally a grooving different version of Thor that just gets drunk all the time and hangs out on the Benatar.
And eats pizza.
I want to eat pizza. That sounds good.
I always want to eat pizza.
Now I'm thinking about pizza. I'm also thinking about that ziti. God damn, that ziti.
Put ziti on your pizza.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing too.
Get you some pizza.
And then cover it with more cheese. Oh man. All right, well, what do you think? Should we call it a day?
Yep, I think that's
Get out
good.
of the office. We're already late. It's almost 6 o'clock at night. My time, it's almost 7 o'clock at night. Your time, I know it's barely 6 o'clock your time and barely 5 o'clock my time, but I just wanted to say it because, whatever. But, all right, folks, before we get out of here, you guys can always check out the Journey into Comics podcast, journeyintocomics.com. Get the Journey into Comics network on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, Spotify, CastBox, TuneIn, and many others. Just search Journey into Comics Network or go to patreon.com/Journey into Comics. Give us your money for something funny, Sonny. I don't know. That was a good one. Give us your $1 holler, and we'll give you some good shit. That's what I'm saying. And I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of Journey into Comics. Did you have anything else to add, Tyler, before we get out of here?
Nope. Take us home, Nate.
All right, buddy. For JIC 257, I have been Nate.
And I've been Tyler.
And as always, folks, pop your caps back and fill your brains with shit. Later, guys.